Everybody, welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is Season 1, Episode 31. And for a lot of you guys who have been following us ever since the beginning of this, you understand that ever since Episode 21, I've been dedicating pretty much every single episode related to real estate investing strategies, real estate investing concept, as well as business mindset. And there's so much that you guys have been asking for, and I'm just super happy simply because of the fact that just tells me that you are engaged and you are taking value out of this. And if for nothing else, really, that's all I want you to take away from all of this. And so any feedback, any engagement, and obviously any love and encouragement and likes are always welcome. And more importantly though, I thank you and I congratulate those of you who actually have been sharing my Daily Dose with Tim with your friends and your family, or with whoever you really think that can use a little bit of mindset adjustment or really help them fix their relationship with money. And that's the funny thing, because along the way, I feel like there's been so much that has been thrown at me, and the most important part has honestly though really been how my relationship with money has changed over time. However, that's not what today is all about. As you guys can see from the video title, today I've kind of named it to BRRRR or not to BRRRR. And the funny thing is, I keep saying this, BRRRR is this new term that I think maybe it's for marketing purposes, maybe just for simplicity's sake. And with the way I look at it is that BRRRR is not exactly a new concept or a new strategy by any means. That's actually one of the oldest processes for any real estate investors who are looking to scale, and even for any business for that matter. And so I'm going to leverage something that I actually did for the private lending bootcamp over on, I think that happened Saturday, and it's happening again this Saturday and next Saturday, just 4 sessions. However, this is typically a transaction process with any sort of real estate project, simply because, well, in the beginning you always have your acquisition process, simply because, well, you have to get into that deal in order for you to do anything with it, right? And this is why we always say a savvy investor will always ask the questions remaining for these: how much money do I have to put in to get into the deal? How much money do I get out of the deal? How long it's going to be? And how is my money secured? And so given the fact that we're leveraging real estate investing and real estate, the hard asset, as our collaterals, that's really how our money is secure. So that kind of really takes care of things. However, when it comes to BRRRR though, this honestly is where we're focusing on. Because as you guys know, B stands for buy. Okay, and then the first R stands for renovate. So basically, value adding is this entire process. And then after you've renovated, obviously you want to be able to rent it out, and then you will refinance. Okay, so when you buy, depending on what kind of acquisition strategy that you are using, because a lot of you guys will be a little bit creative, meaning you might aim for the no money down, vendor take back, seller financing, lease options, agreement for sale, that kind of strategy, or you can offer sweat equity to get a few things done as well, basically meaning that you're the managing partner. So this can still be done when you don't have any funds on your own. However, you do need to have your process tight and your team in place so that you can actually legitimately pitch this deal without hurting anybody that gets involved in a deal with you. And so buy, or you can do the traditional cash buy. Doesn't matter, okay? And this is why refinance typically comes after the rent, simply because if you want to access any sort of financing, chances are your lender, whether it be institutional or whether it be private, chances are they want to make sure that your asset is performing so that they are comfortable lending you the money. And the biggest thing for most people at the very end is the whole repeat process. And this is where the scalability comes in with this business model. And I think this is what people really like about it. However, I'm just gonna share with you the way we learned it a decade ago now, not to keep dating myself. It's really that simple fact. We always say money in and money out, okay? And as a result, because if it's a performing asset, that means we have income for life. Ooh, this isn't, oh, it fits, yes. Income for life, and we get ideally asset for free, okay? So let's see if we have enough time to actually go through that entire thing. If not, I'll leave it till tomorrow so we can wrap up the concept a little bit better here too. So again, you can see the entire BRRRR process, what we're talking about is this whole thing. However, the one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about is how long this entire process is going to be. And so this is where, again, we keep saying trust your talent really is the home of the SMP method. Just going to keep emphasizing on that because it's very, very, very important, okay? So S stands for strategy. And I know a lot of you guys that are watching this, you're kind of like, oh my God, Tim, you sound like a broken record. You know what? That's awesome because if you have not actually printed the whole SMP thing out yet and taped it onto your office or at a wall somewhere in your house, then you're doing yourself a disservice because again, it is so easy for us to stray away from the simplistic of all formula when it comes to investing, especially real estate investing, because it is strategy first and foremost, and then we pick the market that will contribute to that deal. And at the end of all that, we look for properties that will fit the numbers that we are looking for. Numbers meaning the real financial goal. Because again, nobody is going into real estate investing and implementing any strategies in the hopes of losing money. Am I right? Okay. I mean, I don't really care to be right, to be honest, because at the end of the day, whether you think you can, whether you think you can't, either way, you're right. So I'm not here to argue with you, never. Because that's the thing that I found out really about money is that we all come with different relationship with money, different value systems when we were growing up. And so you might think what you think is right, and that's totally fine. I'm just here to share with you what has worked, not just for me, however, for many other people that have become multimillionaires, property investors, successful ones that have been able to really free themselves from regular JOBs, for example, so that they can actually devote their time into working on and building things and businesses that really fire them up every single day. And so again, let's say if we actually do see the BRRRR concept or process as an actual strategy, then this is what we were talking about here, okay? Because at the end of the day, for most people, I understand. In my circle right now, most people, when they do BRRRR, they're holding onto their property. So the actual exit strategy is still income property. And this is also why we said that the BRRRR is nothing new, simply because we always say that it's about buying distressed, okay? And if you have not been formally trained by any other institutions or academies that actually teach financial education, you need to remember the biggest thing that separates educated investors and professional investors is about making money in the buy. And this is why when it comes to investing in properties, it is never about going into show homes and get that brand new build. And by the same token, it's also not about lining up for days to buy a pre-sale condo, okay? So buying distressed because you want to make money in the buy, and distressed most of the times we are referring to ugly and smelly houses. And we like to joke, the uglier, the smellier, the better, because it is the smell of money and it's the look of money. Honestly, I mean, money's just really a piece of paper at the end of the day. And most of us, we just swipe cards, right? And these days, I think most of us, especially when it comes to COVID, we're just tapping our phones now too, or even our watches. And so when it comes to the strategy side of things, okay, if BRRRR is your exit, as in you want to take as much money out as you possibly can in a short amount of time, obviously you have to pay very close attention to the entire real estate cycle in the markets that you're choosing to go into. So again, this is why we focus so much on the fact that everybody's goal is very different. I'll give you a quick example because I've worked with a couple of students over the last few years now, and they're in their late 40s, early 50s, and when they're doing this, they're actually really not caring much about the ROI at the moment per se, because their main goal is to make sure that they get the extra cash flow on a monthly basis so that they can continue to put that money towards either increasing the quality of life, so better lifestyle, for example, putting a little bit more money away towards maybe their insurance policy, towards their kids' RESPs, towards their own TFSAs, towards their own RRSPs, which we also teach them how to convert into self-directed so that they can make better returns. The bottom line though, cash flow is king. And so as a result, because the goal with money in, money out is to leave as little money into the deal, into the property as possible, because in doing so, you actually increase your return on investment. However, in most cases, when return on investment goes up, your cash flow actually goes down. Why? Simply because of the fact that return on investment, or as we spoke about last Friday, a lot of the times if you're holding onto a property, it's really your cash on cash return, okay? So your return basically will go up because the amount of money you're leaving in the deal is a lot less, okay? However, most people don't care about that, depending on their goal. And just like, I'll give you a quick example. When we first got started, and this is why it's a really interesting question that when people ask, I have a standard answer because I've experienced that myself. My very, very first goal is to be out of the rat race, and I wanted to achieve financial freedom first. And so what that means is I really was gunning after the cash flow on a monthly basis so that I don't have to worry about having to pay my bills and maintaining my lifestyle. And so as a result, financial freedom was achieved. And what that really means is that I was really focusing on making sure that my passive income, so passive income from cash flow from all my properties, are exceeding my expenses. And so in the beginning, I focused on deals that would produce a whole lot more cash flow and slightly lower return on investment. However, on the same token, I've also worked with people from the same age bracket that are going, well, you know what, we actually make fairly decent income. So what we really, really want is to make sure that we don't care about the extra cash flow at the moment. And so they can burn in a market where they want to pull out as much money as possible, provided that after they pull out that money, okay, that money needs to be debt serviced. And so that means on a monthly basis, the loan debt servicing payment would go up, therefore decreasing the cash flow. And as a result, sometimes, you know what? You are not getting a lot of good cash flow. However, the point is you just want to make sure that you are at the end of the day still cash flowing regardless, right? And so again, the markets that you would go into really would depend heavily on the goal that you're looking for. Is it cash flow or is it your cash on cash? Okay, just because there are people that really seriously just come into real estate because they just want to park their money somewhere, and that is a hard asset, so that when something like COVID happens, if you're not a trained trader, your retirement is not going along with it, your RESP for your kids are not going along with it, your entire savings accounts are not sinking because the global economy is not doing great, okay? And so last but not least, that's when we look at property. And this is why we keep on stressing on the fact that a lot of the times though, when you're an investor, and even though you are a real estate investor, you want to really make sure that you learn to separate what you're really learning how to do and the vehicle that's helping you do it. Because you can basically go and learn about how to invest in stocks as well, if that's more your personality type, if that's more your style, if that suits your lifestyle better as well. Or you can learn to start a business. That's how people do it, right? And so S&P really need to be taken into consideration when it comes to this, because I'll give you another example. Let's say if you're buying a $3 million commercial property today, just a small strip mall somewhere, okay? Not huge, $3 million. And you may not actually be able to pull that money out even if you're improving the performance of the property, even if you're improving the physical value of the property, okay, there's only so much you can do. So even when you're BRRRRing it, as in you want to refinance and pull some money out, the increase may not be there if your goal is to recover as much money as possible within the first year or two. However, in our circles, not just personal examples, I've also had a lot of different investors that I've spoken to. We all can relate to the journey, because usually on bigger projects, it does take a lot longer for you to really make sure that the moment you do the refinance, simply because the fees are a lot higher on a bigger project as well. So making sure that the end value really is there, so that when you're refinancing, you do get to pull as much money out as possible. However, once again, provided that on a performance basis, you are still cash flowing and the ROI still makes sense. Okay, so that is really what I wanted to share with you, because to BRRRR or not to BRRRR, I'm just going to give you some of my personal opinions. I think obviously in some of the bigger, more urban major markets, because at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. In every market that you go into, especially when it comes to housing and real estate investing, really, it's economy. Like, the economy and employment will drive the demand for housing. And so, nice, let's just say Canadian cities right now. Good, large urban cities like Vancouver, like Toronto, like Ottawa at the moment, and even Montreal before this whole COVID situation happened and hit it pretty bad. These would be the good markets, and plus KWC, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, those are typically have been the four very major markets that are considered very good for short-term bursts, because how quickly the market was actually riding on demand, and demand drives appreciation. As a result, you can actually get your money back as quickly as you possibly can. However, that doesn't mean that all the other slower markets you cannot BRRRR with, okay? And I live in Edmonton. A lot of you guys understands that the Alberta market has been quite slow over the last 4 years now at this point. However, there's still BRRRR opportunities everywhere. You can snatch up a distressed property for $200,000, put in $60,000 worth of work. It can be worth $320,000. And let's just say that at $320,000, when you are actually refinancing, I'm not going to argue with how we qualify this for now, okay? Let's say if you pull out 75% loan to value upon refinance, that basically means that you're pulling out $240,000. So really leaving you with $20,000-ish plus fees in the deal. That means you're buying a house and you're cash flowing on a monthly basis with only $20-something thousand. However, you need to remember that you budget the entire rental process properly, you organize and project manage that entire process, and when you're actually refinancing, you don't wait till the last minute to know the numbers potentially for refi. Obviously, nobody's got a crystal ball to really tell you exactly what the rates is going to be, the terms it's going to be. However, I'm just gonna give you a high level example right now. So that gives me the inspiration that tomorrow we're gonna go into actually running some numbers so all of you guys can understand what I'm talking about here. However, I just wanted to quickly cover this very popular concept: to BRRRR or not to BRRRR. That is a question you have to ask yourself. And I'm just going to tell you, you can BRRRR in every single market. It's just depending on what your end goal is. And if you need money back quickly, then go to one of the bigger markets or faster moving markets. If not, again, traditional name of the game, you can still scale over time, and as long as that hits your financial goal. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me right now and joining me later. I really appreciate all of your support, your comments, your likes, your shares. Let me know if there's any specific subject and topics you want me to cover over the next few episodes as well, because we're coming to an end of season 1 pretty soon, and season 2, I've got some pretty exciting stuff that I'm working on, so it's going to be coming your way pretty soon. So remember, right now, every single day during the week, Monday to Friday, I will be coming to you Facebook Live at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, that's my time zone, and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So have a great evening and live well, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.